In 1952, Otta Wola Soyinka and a group of 6 friends formed the pirate confraternity at the elite University College, Ibadan, then part of the University of London. They dubbed themselves Magnificent Seven. Soyinka and his confraternity peers observed that the university was dominated by wealthy students associated with the colonial government and a few poorer students who often mimicked the wealthy students. Meanwhile, campus social life was dictated by tribal affiliation. Soyinka would later note that the pirates wanted to differentiate themselves from stodgy establishment and its pretentious products in a new educational institution different from a culture of hypocritical and affluent middle class, different from alienated colonial aristocrats. The organization adopted the motto, "Against all conventions," used the skull and crossbones as their logo, while members adopted pirate-themed confraternity names such as Captain Blood and Long John Silver. When fellow students protested a proposal to build a railroad across the road leading to the university, fearing that easier transportation would make the university less exclusive, the pirates ridiculed the argument as elitist. Roughly analogous to the fraternities and sororities of North America, the pirates' confraternity proved popular among students, even after the original members moved on. Membership was open to any promising male student, regardless of tribe or race, but selection was stringent and most applicants were denied. For almost 20 years, the pirates were the only confraternity on Nigerian campuses. In the late 1960s, campuses were roiled by the Nigerian Civil War. Details are contested, but it appears that in 1972, former provost of Adeniran Ogunsanya College of Education, Dr. Bolaji Koru, and Connor Odigon discontinued their membership to the pirates' confraternity. They reasoned that the pirates failed to practice what they stood for and failed to uphold the creed, and alleged that several illegal activities went unchecked. In 1972, at the University of Ibadan, the pirates' confraternity was accused of corruption and nepotism. A cadre of super pirates were alleged to have violated the confraternity's creed with impunity, tribalism, clannishness, and petty alliances. These excesses gave rise to ridicule, suspension, and expulsion. Dr. Bolaji Koru and Connor concluded that the pirates' confraternity had failed them, and left to form a new brotherhood. They chose the name Tsilod in reference to the book Fanny and its buccaneers who were meant to be society's roving policemen, naturally and morally superior to all seafaring creatures. In reaction to this and other events, the pirates registered themselves under the name National Association of Sea Dogs, NAS, and, at least one source states, pulled the confraternity out of the universities. Dr. Bolaji Koru et al. Found the Supreme Buccaneers Confraternity. A major impetus for the creation of new confraternities was the fact that members of the new groups simply did not meet the high academic and intellectual standards. However, fingers were pointed at failed leadership within the pirates' fraternal order, arguing that the original organization had failed to match its stated values and purpose. Many pirates later denounced their membership and joined the Buccaneers in disagreement with the leadership. Subsequently, Soyinka would later point to individuals who became accustomed to exerting power in the rigidly hierarchical confraternity, and were unwilling to give it up, as to blame for the initial schism. As new groups formed, intergroup tensions led to fighting, though these were initially limited to fistfights. The Supreme Confraternity was formed in 1958, and later became the National Association of Air Lords, NA, in 1963 at the University of Ibadan, making it the second oldest confraternity after the Pirate Confraternity. In the 1980s, confraternities spread to over 300 institutions of higher education in the country. The Neo-Black Movement of Africa, also called Black Axe, emerged from the University of Benin in Edo State. In 1983, students at the University of Calabar in Cross River State founded the Eternal Fraternal Order of the Legion Consortium, the Clan Confraternity, and the Supreme Vikings Confraternity, the Adventurers, were established the following year. In May 1978, the Green Circuit Association International, also known as the MAP Height, also came from the University of Benin. This time period saw a drastic change in the role of the confraternities. The coup of Ibrahim Babangida in 1983 caused a large degree of political tension. Military leaders, beginning in the 1980s, began to see the confraternities as a check on the student unions and university staff, who were the only organized groups opposing military rule. The confraternities were thus provided payment and weapons to use against student activists, though the weapons were often used in deadly interconfraternity rivalries. Sociologist Emeka Akudi noted that some university vice-chancellors protected confraternities known to be violent and used them to attack students deemed troublesome. During this period, the confraternities introduced a new tradition of carrying out traditional religious practices, including voodoo. Possibly in reaction to the changes, Wola Soyinka declared that the Sea Dogs should not operate on any university campuses in 1984. In the early 1990s, confraternity activities expanded dramatically in the Niger Delta as confraternities engaged in a bloody struggle for supremacy. The family confraternity, the campus mafia or the mafia, which modeled itself after the Italian mafia, emerged. Shortly after their foundation, several students were expelled from Abia State University for cheating and cultism, a reference to the voodoo practicing confraternities, which marked a shift of confraternity activities from the university to off-campus. The consolidation of confraternity activities outside Nigerian university campuses was boosted by the nationwide renouncement of cultism by university students and the breakdown of traditional campus cults all over the country as a result of amnesty granted to all renounced cultists at the onset of the present democratic government. This led to migration of cultists from the campuses to residential neighborhoods and streets as campuses were no longer a safe haven for them. Incompetence of government officials and inadequate facilities to police campuses by university authorities led to the resurgence of cultism in the campuses as renounced cultists who could not be protected by the law went back to their cult groups to seek protection from rival groups who had discerned their identity as a result of the renouncement ceremony. This resulted in a situation where cult groups were now well established in and outside the campuses. The Brotherhood of the Blood, also known as Tutu, Black Beret, another notorious confraternity, was founded at Enugu State University of Science and Technology. Another cult, the Victor Charlie Boys, was established by Augustine Ohiozu when he was Vice-Chancellor of the Rivers State University of Science and Technology. The cults established in the early 1990s are legion. They include Second Son of Satan, SSS, Night Cadet, Sunmen, Mbombo Brothers, Temple of Eden, Trojan Horse, Jurists, White Bishops, Gentlemen Clubs, Fame, Executioners, Dreaded Friend of Friends, Eagle Club, Black Scorpion, Red Sea Horse and Fraternity of Friends. The Klansmen confraternity expanded its influence by creating a street and creek wing, DBAM, to fight for and control territory outside of the universities through violence and crime. In response, the Supreme Vikings Confraternity, SVC, established its own street and creek group, Dewell. When Dewell was unable to match DBAM, the SVC created a second confraternity wing, the Icelanders, German, which would eventually be led by militia leader Atik Tom. The Outlaws, another well-known street and creek confraternity, began as a splinter group of the Icelanders, German. In the late 1990s, all-female confraternities began to be formed. These include the Black Brazier, Bro, the Viqueens, Daughters of Jezebel, and the Damsel. Female confraternities have supplied spies for allied male confraternities as well as acting as prostitution syndicates. In the past few years, members of confraternities such as the Neo-Black movement have been investigated by law enforcement in different countries around the globe, i.e. Canada, the UK, and Italy.